In this lecture, I just want to point out some of the major global indices. Now, we know we live in a globalized world. If things are happening in Japan, it will affect us. If things are happening in the United States, it will affect the rest of the world. No question about that. So we are all interlinked. The financial markets are interlinked. So it's important to understand the main indices so that when you pick up some headlines or you look up the Wall Street Journal website, you understand what's happening in various parts of the world. Index is just a composite. So basically the S&P 500 has the top 500 companies in the US. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, it has only 30, and that's just been a historical thing. They've never changed it. The NASDAQ also has the NASDAQ 100 index, which is the top 100 companies in the NASDAQ. NASDAQ is generally technology, biotech. The Russell 2000 is what you would call a small cap, so which is companies that are small. Their market capitalization might be in the hundreds of millions of dollars, perhaps. So, you're looking at very small companies. You're looking at the smallest companies in the US market. And because you're looking at smallest companies, you want to have a very large sample to look at, and that's why the Russell 2000 has 2,000 companies in it. Similarly, in Europe, the London, in the UK, the FTSE, this is called the FTSE. In Germany, we have the DAX. In France, we have the CAC. In Japan, we have two indices, Nikkei 225, that's top 225 companies in Japan, and TOPIX. Similarly, in China, you have the Shanghai Index as well as the Shenzhen. In Australia, you have the ASX. In India, you have two main indices, the Nifty 50 and the BSE 30. Hong Kong has the Hang Seng Index and Singapore has the Singapore SGX Index. Why I pointed this slide out was because when you look at the headlines, you can see which index is performing well and which index is correlated to what we do in the United States. Or if you're in Europe, you can see which indices the European markets are correlating to, because these correlations are different and they keep changing. Sometimes the US is highly correlated with China and sometimes it's not. Sometimes Europe is highly correlated with the US and sometimes it's not. So if we get an idea of where our market is going and how the trading day will be in the US, you can look at some of these correlations and see which markets are performing. It's just to give you a global view of the markets. It's important to just take a quick peek. It's there on the front page of every major financial website. So there's really nothing more to it. Just keep an eye out and see what indices around the world are doing. Thanks.